everyone, it's Elizabeth from Fern Creek Stickers, and I am here to plan the week of August 28th. And I'm going to use the August Mystery Kit. So it's a s'mores theme kit. So it's another mystery kit that's a little bit niche, but I thought this artwork was so cute, I couldn't pass it up. I cannot eat s'mores right now, but I love s'mores and definitely something I will look forward to being able to eat once I can have them again. And so I think this is a fun summer-fall transition kit because s'mores are kind of summery, but campfires are kind of fall and summer, so I think it's great for using this week. So let's go ahead and get started. One thing I'm going to try a little bit differently, I'm trying to make the plan with me a little shorter, so I am always writing things in as I go. I'm going to try to do the pen all at the end and speed you through that to make this a little shorter. We'll see if I actually remember that that is my intention. We should also take a look at last week. So here's how last week turned out. I really loved this kit. This was a favorite for me for sure. I think this turned out really cute and I feel like I'm finding my stride a little bit with the cousin. So let's get going with this week's plans. We had a week. It did not go as planned at all. We had our first daycare sickness. So Daniel got an ear infection and pink eye from daycare. So we had to keep him home for the beginning of last week. And fortunately, my job is flexible enough that that wasn't a big deal. Fortunately, unfortunately, I guess both. Brian also got sick. So Brian, when I had to go into campus and teach, Brian was homesick anyway. So he was able to stay home with Daniel when I really needed to be at work. But yeah, I was glad that I was able to stay home and give Daniel all of the cuddles because he definitely needed them. He's with some antibiotics. He is doing a lot better. I'm sure we will have plenty more daycare sickness soon. I was really hoping that we would get a daycare spot. Like in my perfect world, it would have been like a month before I went back to work so that it would be easier to navigate this first round of illnesses. But I think it's probably just, it's gonna happen how it's gonna happen. And again, fortunately, I've got a lot of flexibility. And I guess one thing that I haven't mentioned yet is Brian's factory is going to be closing in November. So he is losing his job in a few months. But one thing, he gets paid out for all of his unused vacation time at the end. So it's one where he has a lot of vacation time, but we're trying to not use it so that he gets paid out for it and it works out pretty well because usually he saves several weeks to take off in December, and we usually go see his family for a week and we see my family for a week in December and have some time at home. So it works out well because they're gonna close on November 30th. So he'll have, unless he has another job starting right away, he'll have that time off anyway, so we'd rather save it and get paid out for it. So Brian has plenty of time off to use if we need to with Daniel, but at the same time, we're trying not to use that time off. So yeah, so I haven't mentioned that on here, but that's a big change that's gonna be coming up for us. There's a chance that he's going to have a job until June. We don't know that for sure yet because they need some people to stay around and help actually finish closing down the plant. So we'll know in the next couple weeks whether he's gonna, how long exactly he'll have a job. And he'll get a severance package and that's good. So he'll have, you know, between, I do this every single week. I look to see how much it covers up and by now I should know. It shouldn't be a surprise. So yeah, so they're getting a severance package that will be, again, I guess we don't know all the details. I think it should be good for him. He's worked there for a long time. So yeah, hopefully that will keep us going while he looks for a new job. And fortunately, we're pretty financially conservative people. You know, obviously losing one of your incomes is not an ideal situation ever, but we're gonna be okay. And so that was a tangent that I wasn't planning to talk about now. But anyway, that is a big change that is going to be happening for us. Okay, so sidebar stuff. I will put in, I think just reading and my habits again. Not too much to put in the sidebar. So anyway, so that's a big change that's happening here. Daycare sickness and just kind of, you know, getting back in the swing of things. I guess it was supposed to be my first full week back to work, but then ended up not being quite a full week back at work. But the good news was I got a paper accepted, which was a good way to kick off work again. I had to do, I don't know that I talked about this, but my job's a little weird. I had, you know, a really nice long maternity leave, but my job is a little weird because there's stuff that like personally benefits me that has nothing to do with the university that I work for that personally benefits my career and that is part of my job. So and that's just, being a professor is weird, and most people just think of the teaching part, but research is a big part of my job, and it's 50% of my job. My job is broken down, or sorry, I guess now it's 45% of my job. Not that that makes a big difference. Research is 45% of my job, but yeah, there's this like very specific breakdown of what I do. But anyway, so research is a big part of my job, but that's not really what people see, especially like for, you know, if you're like in the hard sciences, it's more evident. But in the social sciences, I think research is a little more hidden. But that's a big part of my job, and I'm supposed to do it, and that's something that like I do need to be active with research to do well on my annual review, but it mostly just benefits me personally in terms of now I'm tenured, but I'm working towards getting full professor, and which is a raise, and yeah, it's a substantial raise, and it's more opportunities and just good for me professionally. But that's mostly at this point, other than just wanting to do research, the next promotion is the big reason to be active in research. And so it's like, I wouldn't, if I hadn't done research on maternity leave, it wouldn't have mattered too much. Well, fortunately for me at least, because my chair understands. I do know people who have been punished for not doing research on maternity leave, because this is a whole other thing, but they used to process maternity leaves as research leave, so it looked like you should have been really productive. I'm getting into the weeds of academia here now. But anyway, I had a paper that came back to revise while I was on maternity leave, and that was the kind of thing that like I had to do because it personally benefits me, and there's a deadline on it, but it's not part of my like work for the organization. So anyway, so I was very good about not doing much work on maternity leave. I barely checked my email. I did not do a ton of work, but I did have to revise this paper, and then it got accepted this week. So that was really good news. That was a good way to come back to work. Okay, so while I was talking, I got the full boxes laid down too. So I will go ahead and I'll start by putting my class in. That's gonna be the same every day. But yeah, so just getting back in the swing of things, and also, like a lot of places, it has been ridiculously hot here. Fortunately, we've got, oops, I put this full box up too high. I at least want these to be, I am putting them at 9, which is when it actually happens, but I want them to at least be at the same level, even if I wasn't putting them at the actual time. So ridiculously hot here. Oh, you might have seen on Instagram stories, I posted that Danielle, my assistant, was working in the basement and a big old scorpion showed up. And then we saw another scorpion. It should be just a coincidence because scorpions don't like nest in the house. It's supposed to be just random ones that come in. And we've seen a handful since we lived here, but not a ton. But seeing 2 scorpions in 1 week was a little much for me. Not my favorite thing in the world. And fortunately, when Danielle saw the one, I was home because Daniel was sick, so I came and vacuumed it up for her. Although Brian, when we find them, the one we found later in the week, Brian caught it and released it because he wants to put them back outside so they can catch more bad bugs, which is good for him. I'm very glad he wants to save the scorpions, but I'm not gonna save them. Okay, I digress. So I've got my class, and then I have office hours. And that is right after class. So the other thing that has come up so far that I kind of missed in the spring being on maternity leave was the whole ChatGPT thing and dealing with students using AI. I am already have had assignments that students that have turned in that clearly use AI, but I can't prove it. Fortunately, the way that I wrote my rubric, they did poorly on the assignment for other reasons because they didn't use AI well. They just put questions in there without really reading the instructions. So fortunately, I still had a way for them to do poorly, but that's definitely a new thing to navigate. And I have a plan for bigger assignments, but I don't have a plan for like kind of smaller little things, which is what these assignments were. So yeah, and at this point, it's very obvious to tell. It just writes in a certain style. And again, these students didn't follow the assignment, so it was very obvious what was going on. But that's definitely a new challenge to encounter that I wasn't dealing with before. Okay, I'm being super chatty and not putting my plans down at the same time. I'm having trouble remembering what I want to do while I talk to you all. Okay, so that's I have an appointment. I need to gather up the trash. Then this is trash day. Let me put those in. Trash can, trash can, trash can. Why do I forget every single, I'm just not used to like where the scripts are on these sheets yet, and I feel like I should have hang of that by now. Okay, trash day, I have small group. And I also have book club. And Friday, just have class. On Saturday, we'll have game night. We went, this past week, we've usually been hosting game night and our friends come over after Daniel goes to bed, but we went over to a friend's house on Saturday afternoon and his wife and kids played with Daniel while we played games, which was really fun. But it was kind of hilarious because their older kids, their youngest is almost 3, and their older kids decided almost immediately that their youngest and Daniel are gonna get married. So that was determined very quickly. So I think they don't know a lot of really little kids. So it was like Daniel was the closest that they'd ever met to their sister. So clearly it's a match made in heaven. Then on Saturday, why don't I use a big box for both these? I'm gonna meal plan and grocery shop. I'll put those in the same box because those kind of go together. And I need to, the last 2 weeks we ended up grocery shopping on Sunday because we just had other stuff going on. And it was like, I don't know, now that everyone's back to school and I guess that's when everybody's grocery shopping and students and stuff, the grocery store was so picked over on Sunday afternoon. So we need to make sure that this happens on Saturday because it was a sorry sight at the grocery store. All right, so meal plan and groceries on Saturday, and then use one of the doodle boxes for church on Sunday, and then I'll do some planning on Sunday afternoon, and I will also want to get my lunches prepped, which has been working out really well to make salads for the whole week on Sundays, and then I have a healthy lunch that is ready to go because even when I'm working from home, sometimes I just kind of get busy and end up just snacking for lunch and not ever having real food. Taking like 45 minutes to prep my lunches on the weekend has made a huge difference. So I think that's what I've got. So now I'm going to go ahead and write things in and I will speed you through that. So there is everything for the week ahead. I am all set to go. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope that you have some good plans for the week ahead, and I'll see you all again soon. Bye, everyone.